swing and a drive. Right field and deep. Back goes Aquino. It's got a chance. Gone. Get out the tape measure. Long gone.
Fly the W!
Cubs fans, it's time to fly the W with Dustin Rhodes and Paul Crawly Jean.
It is the Fly the W podcast. Crawly, it's episode 51. It's season number 4. The Cubs lose the game, they lose the series, and they lose a closer to the Nationals. You're listening to the Fly the W podcast. We are part of the Blue Wire Network. Don't forget to listen, download, subscribe. Most importantly, review the podcast and follow on our socials. I'm at Mullion Haw on X.
And you can follow me at Crawly's Cubs on X, Blue Sky, and TikTok, and Crawly's Clubhouse on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Threads. And if you have any comments, if you think we're wrong, you think we're right, email us at crawlysclubhouse@gmail.com. Dustin, I am back after a long weekend in Chicago, and there's a lot of fun things going on, a lot of interesting things, but at the end of the day, it's about winning baseball games, and the Cubs couldn't do that against one of the worst teams in baseball.
Yeah, the second worst team in the National League, and this was supposed to be a celebratory weekend. You know, as if anybody was paying attention or following you, Sammy Sosa was back, Derek Lee was back, going in as to the Cubs Hall of Fame. Lots of Cubs famous people, dignitaries, all that stuff were at Wrigley Field. And you saw a decent game on Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday, you saw two absolute clunkers. I mean, Saturday, I did the pre and the post. I was down there, and they had 3 whole hits. I mean, they scored their run. They scored their run on a ground out. I mean, it was a clunker.
And Dustin, what did we kept hearing? Well, they got the easiest schedule remaining. Oh, the easiest schedule in the second half. Easiest schedule.
I think that got between their ears.
Mm-hmm. You know what? This is 2 different teams. The team that we saw in the first half and the team that we saw in the second half. And unfortunately, the second half's team is a 500 team.
Right.
It's an average mediocre team.
They're 1 game over 500 since the All-Star break, right. I believe. One game over.
Right. And that's going to get you a nice quick exit from the postseason if things don't turn around. I'll tell you that much.
And it just feels like, Crawly, before we started, you and I were talking, it just feels like the organization is just like, let's just get through these 3 weeks. Let's just get through these 3 weeks. Let's get to the tournament, try to get everybody as healthy as possible, and then we will go from there.
And fine, but in the meantime, there's just a lot of head-scratching, questionable moves, and nobody knows what's going on. And apparently, Willie Castro is this generation's Nafi Perez.
Yeah, and again, like you mentioned yesterday, 2 39-year-olds in the lineup yesterday on a Sunday at the Cubs Hall of Fame. Owen Casey supposedly in town. They don't trade Owen Casey, but Craig Counsell clearly doesn't like Owen Casey enough to bother to put him in his lineup or get him in the classic Cub uniform. All right, Crawly, let's get it started. Let's go back to Friday. Javier Assad had a pretty nice outing, and the Cubs found their slug, if you will.
Yeah, the wind was howling out that day, and you knew there'd be some offense. After a couple days off, PCA's back, but no Kyle Tucker. That reset, though, really seemed to refresh PCA with runners at first and third and 1 out. He hit a sac fly to put the Cubs up 1-0. He doesn't strike out in that situation, which to me was kind of like one of those key things. And so Nico would double to make it a 2-0 game. Willie Castro hit by a pitch, and then Dansby Swanson hits a 3-run blast. Cubs up 5-0 after 1. There was a guy sitting behind us in the bleachers before the game. He says, I got Reese McGuire. I bet him that he's going to hit a home run. He hits a solo home run in the second to make it 6-0. I was like, wow, what a waste of money. Might as well just burned it. And the guy and it paid out. I don't know what it paid out, but it paid out.
I bet it paid pretty well, Crawly.
Now, Javier Assad looked really good. Through 4 2/3 innings, he didn't give up a hit. The only base runner the Nationals had was from a hit by pitch. But with 2 outs in the 4th, Dalen Lyle, who we said on this last podcast, look out, he's on the hot list. Boy, did he have a heater this week. Oh my God. He hit one that PCA lost in the sun. It goes for a triple, but Dustin, that should have been caught. That's not on Assad. That would have ended the inning.
That was Mother Nature's fault. We'll blame Mother Nature.
Sure. The next batter, Luis Garcia Jr. homers to make it 6-2. But again, Assad should have been out of that inning. But what I loved about this game, Dustin, is that the Cubs kept adding runs. They didn't score a bunch in the first two and then sit on their heels for the next 7 innings, right? Every time the Nationals started to come back, the Cubs would score more runs. After that Garcia home run in the fourth, the Cubs loaded the bases with 2 outs. Willie Castro hits a ground rule double down the left field line, goes out of play, makes it an 8-2 game. Top of the 6th, Assad gets the first out, but gives up a single and a walk. Counsell pulls Javier. Caleb Thielbar comes in. Darren Lyle triples again, this time a legit triple. Run scores. Nats had another on a sac fly. Now it's an 8-5 ball game. The box score doesn't look pretty, right? 5 1/3 innings for Assad, gave up 4 runs on 3 hits, 2 walks, and 4 Ks. But 2 of those runs came after the missed catch that would have ended the inning. And another
right, that's why I said he was okay. He was serviceable.
I think he was better than serviceable. I thought he
Better
had a
than
really
serviceable. Okay, all right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I thought yeah, he should not get the blame for that.
No, I mean, again, for those runs, I mean, again, yes, he put the 2 on, but Caleb Thielbar is the one that gave up the hit that lets that in there. But
yeah, I always hate
you
that
know,
rule. I always hate that rule. I hate that rule.
Right. But the Cubs are going to answer back. Bottom of the 6th, Ian Happ walks, reaches a second on a wild pitch, goes to third on a safe fly out. PCA would hit his second sacrifice fly of the game to make it 9-5. Then Nico would add his 6th home run of the game. Cubs up 10-5. Ian Happ added his 20th home run to make it an 11-5 Cubs win. Dustin, this is what the Cubs look like when the offense is going right. 11 runs, 10 hits, 8 walks, 3 by Ian Happ. 4 players hit a home run, Dustin.
Yeah, 4 different players, right? 4 different players. That's great.
4 different players. I mean, if you take a look here, right here, the most games with 4+ home runs, Yankees 17, Cubs 15, Mets 12, Tigers 10. Not only that, you're talking about a team right now that you know, they with Ian Happ's home run, the Cubs now have 6 players in their lineup with 20 home runs on the season. Michael Busch, Kyle Tucker, Seiya Suzuki, PCA, Dansby Swanson, and now Happ. Now, you know, Sunday, we'll get to it. Carson Kelly adds 2 more. I mean, maybe he goes on a run. I don't know if the Cubs have ever had 7 guys in their lineup with 20+ home runs.
Yeah, and they need them. They need everyone they can get.
But Dustin, I heard you on the Mully and Haw talking this morning at the Pick 6 about home run or bust. And, you know, that's what we saw in game 2. And that's what was so frustrating. You know, Matt Boyd versus Brad Lord, right? And
who? I mean, oh my gosh.
Right. You know, and so you're thinking to yourself, okay, well, Lord's numbers have been awful lately, but it was the Nationals who came out of the gate. I'm sure I've seen it before, but I don't remember. The first 3 batters got hits on the first 3 pitches they saw. Pitch, hit, pitch, hit, pitch, hit. I couldn't believe it.
Coomer was so funny. Obviously, I was, had the luck to work in the booth that day. And Coomer's like, all right, here's a suggestion. Don't throw a strike, right? don't throw a strike because you're finding too much of the white on the plate. Throw a ball. Throw a ball and see what they do with it.
And not only that, it was clear that the plan was be aggressive, right? They were going to be swinging. And it's actually a pretty good plan against Boyd, to be honest. The Nats were up 1-0 after those 3 straight hits.
Yeah.
They got one more hit.
They got out of it. I mean, right. They got out of it. They got out of a jam. When there was a spectacular defensive play.
Right. Boyd got a strikeout, ground out, limits the damage to 1 run. That could have been horrible.
Right.
And so the bottom of the 2nd, the Cubs answer back. PCA leads off with a double and scores on back-to-back grounds outs by Nico and Carson Kelly. The game's tied at 1. Darren Lyle, who hit 2 triples the day before, hit a solo home run in the 4th to untie it. The Cubs down 2-1. But that would be the last run the Cubs pitching staff would give up. Boyd would give up 2 runs on 7 hits, 4 of those hits in the first inning, no walks, 3 Ks. Quality start for Boyd. You take that any day of the week. 2 runs in 7 innings, you take that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Now, Dustin, I will tell you, I get into the bleachers, right? And this is before the game starts. I'm eating Smoky Link. I got a Smoky Link. I got some chips, and I got a beverage. And I am literally, the balls are flying out in BP for Washington. I'm saying, what's the over-under on home runs? It's got to be 6 or 7. I thought it would be just like another game like the day before where you had 16 total runs. The Cubs could do nothing against Brad Lord. Nothing. They only mustered 3 hits the whole game. They drew 10 walks. So there's base runners all over the place. They can't get a big hit. They're 0 for 6 with runners in scoring position. They only had 1 extra base hit. PCA's double in the second. Lord struck out the side in the 3rd and 4th inning. 6 strikeouts in a row.
Straight. Yep, 6 straight strikeouts.
Oh my God. The Cubs had 2 on and 2 out thanks to 2 walks, but Matt Shaw was robbed on an extra base hit by a nice play by right fielder Dylan Cruz. I thought that was going to at least tie it up. The Cubs also hit into 3 double plays. Seiya Suzuki in the 1st, Ian Happ in the 6th, Willie Castro in the 7th. To make matters worse, PCA hits a foul ball off his knee to kneecap in the 6th. He finished his at-bat, drew a walk, but he didn't come out to play center field in the 7th. We all knew that was a bad sign.
Boy, that looked like it was really hurt. That looked really, really painful.
It did. And so the Cubs had one last chance in the 9th. And here's what irritates me. Kevin Alcantara takes PCA's place. He's due to lead off in the 9th, right? This is one of your top prospects. What do you got, kid? Show me what you got. But Counsell instead pinch hits Justin Turner, who popped one out 48 feet to first base. Nico would then single, steal second. Carson Kelly struck out. Willie Castro flied out. Game over. The Cubs lose 2-1, Dustin. But for me, if the Friday was the best of what the Cubs offense was, Saturday was the worst. Bunch of strikeouts. They're flailing away. They ground into double plays, uncompetitive at bats, no hits with runners in scoring positions. You should be able to win when your pitcher only gives up 2 runs and the wind's blowing out. What are you doing?
And the wind's blowing out, and it's the second worst team in baseball, facing a pitcher that's not been very strong lately. And PCA, before he got left the game, had a nice game going.
He's had a good 2 games going. And when I took a look, I was like, okay, well, maybe I'm being too hard on the Cubs, right? I mean, look at Brad Lord's numbers. I mean, they're just absolutely, I mean, the guy is absolutely, I'm not saying he's awful, but this is a guy who had an ERA over 6.
Right.
Okay. And that's the best you could do. That's the best you can do. You know, like you were talking about with PCA, he in the first 2 games against the Nationals before he had to come out, he was 3 for 5 with a double, a walk, 2 RBIs.
Yeah, that's good.
I mean,
yeah, he was on a bit of a roll. Just a bad effort all the way around. And it was beautiful, another beautiful day at Wrigley, mix of sun and clouds. When the sun came out, it was absolutely gorgeous. All right, so yesterday, game number 3, Drew Pomerantz. We had an opener. You have to explain that to me in a second, Crawly. And then Andrew Alvarez for the Nationals.
Yep, and Dustin, it was one of those where you just looked at the lineup that they rolled out for that game and you said, nah, this is not going to do it. You had, this was from Chris Kompka. Chris Kompka put this out there earlier. It's with Carlos Santana and Justin Turner both in the starting lineup. It was the first time the Cubs had 2 players in the starting lineup age 39 or older since Davey Lopes and Larry Boa, August 10th, 1985.
Isn't that amazing? Isn't that absolutely amazing? Now, again, you and I were watching in 85, but that's amazing.
Do you remember the 85 season at all?
Yeah, I mean, I don't not hardcore, but I remember I was watching.
3/4 of the team was injured. That's why Davey Lopes and Larry Boa were starting that game.
And was that your second base shortstop combination?
Yes, I believe. I believe so. But Dustin, that is just, when you sit there and you take a look and you got Justin Turner and Carlos Santana. Look, I'll be willing to say, okay, I can see those guys in a pinch hit, right? They've been in the big moment before. These are guys that know
right. No
that type of stuff, but I have no problem with that. But a whole game, 4 at bats. No, I don't know. Like you said, Drew Pomerantz is going to take the first inning. You remember Colin Ray struggled last inning, and they did this earlier with Colin Ray one time. They did an opener after he had a struggle, and he did fine. He did fine, right?
Yeah, he had a nice. He ended up with 6 strikeouts, I think, 6 or 7. He had a nice outing. Right,
and so I thought it was a really, really good game. For Colin Ray. Top of the 3rd, Dylan Cruz on with 2 outs. Let's talk about first here. The Cubs get on the board first, bottom of the 2nd. Carson Kelly with a laser, 106 0.4 off the bat to give the Cubs a 1-0 lead. That's big play number 1 for Kelly. Now, after Colin Ray comes in the second, top of the third, Dylan Cruz on first, 2 outs, CJ Abrams up, Kelly catches Cruz, stealing second to end the inning. So now you got a home run and you threw out a runner at second. Now the Nationals tied it in the 5th. Darren Lyle, how many times we can say Dalen Lyle, but he hit a leadoff single. Ray gets Andrew Chaparro to pop out, and then Luis Garcia hits a ground rule double that got caught in the ivy. Classic caught in the ivy. On the weekend. Andre Dawson's in there. You remember that commercial with Kerry Wood where he pulls him out of the ivy?
Yeah.
Brad House hits a sac fly to tie it up. That would be the only run Ray would give up. After coming into the second, he pitched 5 1/3 innings, gave up 1 run on 3 hits, 6 Ks, and no walks. Again, you'll take that from Ray any day of the week, right? Almost 6 innings, 1 run, 3 hits.
Absolutely, no doubt. Yeah, so it worked. The opener thing worked. It's just kind of weird.
Now, a little controversy in the 5th, 1 out, Kevin Alcantara walks. Nico Horner doubles with runners at second and third. Washington plays the offense in. Ian Happ grounds 1 to CJ Abrams, who throws home. There was kind of a collision at the place. Alcantara was called out. I thought he was safe. New York did not, but the Cubs retook the lead when Seiya singles. But Dustin, that
could have been a huge run, right?
Right, that blocking the plate rule, I don't get it all the time. And
it's very gray. It's not black and white. That's the problem. Right.
If you catch it, then you can block it. I don't know. I think that if you're going to talk to Kevin Alcantara about that, I would say go in around it. You should have slid in head first and tried to get around the tag as opposed to sliding in feet first. That's the only thing I could tell you. But the Cubs now got a 2-1 lead thanks to Seiya Suzuki, who was practicing by himself after the game. Did you watch that, Dustin?
I did.
You saw him out on the field by himself, just kind of swinging?
I saw the social media of that. Mm-hmm.
But did you see it yourself doing the post game?
No, I did. I was, believe it or not, it was like the shortest post game ever in a 2-1, 3-hit effort. I think it was about a 23-minute post game show.
So Carson Kelly adds a little insurance in the bottom of the 8th. He hits a solo home run to increase the Cubs' lead to 3-1. After Ray comes out in the 7th, Caleb Thielbar finishes the 7th. Brad Keller pitched a perfect 8th with 2 Ks, setting everything up for Daniel Palencia, Mr. Gasolina. Dame más gasolina. Well, he was looking to close it out for the Cubs series win. First batter he faced Robert Hassel III, homers to make it a 3-2 game. CJ Abrams singles on a ball that just rolled right up that third base line and would not roll foul. It was like watching mound ball. Like the ball just kind of just kind of stayed
good
there.
Comparison. Yeah, good comparison.
Palencia is going to walk James Wood, and then manager Miguel Cairo goes to switch hitter Josh Bell, and the move pays off. 3-run home run, just like that. The Cubs trail 5-3.
Basket aided again. God, sometimes I just hate the basket.
Basket giveth, basket taketh away. Mm-hmm. And then while pitching to Andres Chaparro, Palencia pulled something in his side, left the game. At least that's what it looked like at the time. Mm-hmm. Cubs lose the game. They lose their series. They lose the closer. Dustin, even before the injury, though, he was
getting Hector Neris, a lot of traffic on the bases with him, no doubt. He was getting out of it, but a lot of traffic on the base pass.
And so when you're kind of looking at this right here, I don't, and remember, Palencia came in game 2, right? So he was going back-to-backs. I don't know how much of it's physical. I don't know how much of it's mental. We're going to get to the injury update in segment 2. But when you're taking a look at this and you're looking at Palencia, it just was there. I don't know if it was between the ears. I don't know if it was, I don't know what. When I saw him slap the ground and it just felt like he was having a meltdown on the mound when I was watching him. Like he was, right. But I mean like a mental meltdown.
Yeah.
And so you're talking about,
it wasn't physical. He was mad at himself, kind of a thing.
Right. When we go back and we start taking a look at some of these games, like it really, to me, when I take a look at it, starts in August. He gave up, when you talk about the runs and the hits, giving up a couple hits in a run on August 3rd, giving up a couple hits in a run August 6th, gives up a solo. He gives up a home run August 15th, gives up another home run against Milwaukee on August 20th. He gave up a home run and 3 runs or 1 on 3 hits. Against San Francisco. That was a big one that cost them. He gave up another one in Colorado on August 31st. I mean, he has literally been struggling when you go up and down here, but this was the worst. This one, Dustin, when you take a look at the final line on that one, he gives up 5 runs, 2 home runs, 4 hits, 1 walk, just absolutely brutal. So, I mean, it's Brad Keller time, right?
Brad Keller's up next. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, the only question I have is, what do you think about Porter Hodge?
Not yet. I guess maybe Porter Hodge gets the 7th. Theobar gets the 8th, right? Keller gets the 9th. See what happens, right? But I wouldn't put any extra pressure. I mean, you got to see what he does under pressure, but maybe a little less, right? Just like one peg down. Theobar's been fantastic, right?
Yeah, he's been great. He's been everything you could ask for, but now you're asking guys, and I know, Dustin, it drives you nuts, but you're asking them to go into different roles, and I don't know if we're going to see the same out of these guys.
Here's the ball. Go get somebody out. Crawly, it's the 51st episode of season number 4, and the Cubs lost the game, the series, and their closer. We just talked about that here on the Fly the W podcast, part of the Blue Wire Network. Don't forget to listen, download, review, subscribe to us. This is the Fly the W podcast. 5-star review. We'll take it. Email us, crawlysclubhouse@gmail.com. Don't forget you can watch us, as some of you maybe right now, on Crawly Clubhouse YouTube page. All right, do we even have to do this? Could we just skip the National League Central part of this and just go to the wild card, Crawly? Oh, I guess not. Okay.
There you go.
There you go.
The dream is over. We
made the graphic. We made the graphic, so we're going to use the graphic.
We are not. There is probably, if you take a look here, the Cubs are now 7.5 games behind Milwaukee, and you're down to about 2.5 weeks left of the season. The Reds are 16.5 out, the Cardinals 17, and the Pittsburgh Pirates 25 out. But you want to see the wild card? Not good for the Cubs, because when you look at the wild card, you're seeing that San Diego is kind of getting out of their funk. They're on a 2-game winning streak. The Cubs are on a 2-game losing streak. That very comfortable lead is now 3 games over the Padres. So,
but you're still 5 clear of being in the tournament.
5 clear. Yep. The Reds won 2 in a row. The Giants now lost 2 in a row. So you got that big kind of blob of the Reds, Giants, Diamondbacks, Cardinals, all within a half game of each other. And so that's kind of getting kind of crazy. But Dustin,
the only thing you'd have to worry about maybe is the Phillies are dealing with a couple of injuries, and they're starting a 4-game set tonight against the Mets. So maybe something happens there where the Mets start putting a little pressure on the Phillies, and they're in the mix again.
You don't know, but here's the one thing you do know: the playoff odds, the Cubs' chances of making the playoffs, 98.7%.
99.7%.
Or 99.7%. But if you take a look at clinching the division, winning the division, Dustin, we
less
are
than 1%.
Less than 1%. So that dream, if you still had it, has pretty much died over the weekend.
Almost
Dustin.
to Blutarski.
Yeah, it's not good at all. That's, I was hoping maybe possibly somehow, some way, and just after losing 2, and then you're watching Milwaukee do what they're supposed to do, which is club teams that aren't very good, while the Cubs are struggling against teams that are under 500.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the roster moves, injury report, because there's a lot of moving parts right now.
Well, let's go ahead again. Let's not bury the lead here. How about Daniel Palencia, 15-day IL?
That's the one. Yeah, that's the number one thing right now, 15-day IL.
So when we take a look at that, Dustin, when you talk about 15-day, Ethan Roberts is the corresponding move. I like Ethan Roberts a lot. I just don't think that moves the needle one bit.
No. I mean, probably a nice guy, but no.
And so now that we take a look at this situation, I mean, I don't know what to say other than, they
still hate Jordan Wicks, right? That's what I'd like to say. They clearly still hate Jordan Wicks.
They weren't even going to give Luke Little a shot. Luke
Little, right?
So what they're saying right now is tightness in the posterior right shoulder. But when you're talking about 15-day IL, there's only like 21 games left in the 20 days left in the season.
Right. You got to figure out, can you get him back before the very, very end? I mean, that's seems like they're pushing it.
And the other thing you have to keep in mind is they're going to start ending all the minor league seasons. So it's not like you could sit there and go ahead and give them an outing. The other thing, if you noticed from this weekend, we never mentioned Kyle Tucker's name because Kyle Tucker didn't play at all. And so Jed Hoyer was on Inside the Clubhouse on 670 in the morning. You could check it out every Saturday morning. But here's, when we talk about all of this right now, and we're talking about the decision whether or not to start him, to play Kyle Tucker. That Dustin, I think to me is the most frustrating thing about this entire season of Kyle Tucker, is that you're thinking to yourself, okay, we got this guy, and not only has he been injured a whole bunch, it just seems like when he is injured, nobody knows what they're doing. So Jed Hoyer brings up a bit about what is going on with Kyle Tucker, and for me, I didn't feel. I feel like the Cubs pitching, or whoever's in charge of these injuries, this needs to be a big question.
Still somewhat unclear, and we're having a lot of discussions about it this morning. I'm trying to figure that out. I think Craig said after the game yesterday that the hope was that it would be really quick. He's still feeling fine, but we don't want to push it at this point. So we're having those discussions and making those decisions. He's obviously not in the lineup today. And we'll just keep monitoring over the next few days. But I do feel like, we're weighing it. We're weighing the benefits of getting in the lineup, but also like really trying to be cautious at this point, because the most important thing is that we have, an elite Kyle Tucker heading into the home stretch here. That's the most important thing, and that's what we'll focus on.
So now you care about an elite Kyle Tucker? You're going to let him sit there in June, July, and half of August?
Well, I think part of this is, unfortunately, Crawly, is that the player has a role in all of this, right? He's saying, I don't want to go on the IL. They're still trying to court this guy. I think that's a little bit of this that's being not fully mentioned.
I've heard nothing about that. All I can tell you is right now.
I'm telling you, Bruce, we've heard that. Like Bruce has talked about that. That's a thing. The player is involved here. The player has a say in all of this.
If that's the case, then shame on the team for putting the interests of one player in front of everybody else.
Oh, well, right. And shame on the player for putting his own personal interest because of what's on the line for him, right?
Well, here's Jed on how they decide whether it's to put someone on the IL.
Yeah, they're hard discussions with any player. And you want to see that fight against, sitting down for a while or against going on IL. And that's something you always look at is, how much is the guy pushing back? How much is he, is he pushing us really hard to not go on the IL, or is he sort of resigned to it? You always you look for those cues, but you want players that want to play every day. I say this all the time, like at any one time, our injury report that we see every night has, somewhere between 5 and 15 players on it. There's always guys that are banged up and nicked up and they play. And so that's part of the grind of 162 is that guys are going to play with, minor things, nicks and dings and things like that. And, that's the real challenge for the training staff, for the doctors, is to figure out what is a nick or a ding and something you can play through, or what is something that we need to rest for 10 days or longer. And that's a really difficult thing to figure out. I don't think people generally understand how many guys at any one time, are feeling something. That's just the nature of playing every day.
See, he even said it a little bit in that cut, Crawly.
Yeah.
We're talking to the player about it. We're debating with the player about it, right? He wants to not go on the list. He just said it in that cut.
And again, we've talked about it before. I remember with Dansby Swanson last year and other people. At some point in time, you are the team.
Right. Somebody's got to be in charge. Right. Somebody has to be the boss.
Right. And so you're going to sit there and just let somebody, what was Kyle Tucker batting in mid-July to mid-August? I mean, just absolutely awful. And you're going to let him sit there, but we'll see. One guy who looks like we're going to have back, PCA, is in the Cubs lineup tonight from that right knee contusion. I know they did some x-rays and all that stuff. He is DHing though tonight. He is not in center field. Willie Castro takes center field for tonight's game.
Willie Castro, man. Oof. That guy, he's had like one moment. He is, I thought, wow, Jed, nice job. You and Carter, good job. You really solidified that bench. Not so much. He was a like flash in the pan, this Willie Castro.
Here's the thing, Dustin. He's a utility guy. If you're expecting him to play every day and put up big numbers, that's the problem.
Well, how about just a number? Forget about big numbers, Crawly. How about just put up a number?
I feel like when guys like that get more at bats,
he's playing too much. Don't get me wrong. He's playing too much, right? He's playing too much. But I mean, the guy has done jack squat. I mean,
Well, luckily the Cubs are getting Jameson Tyone back. The expectation is he starts this series in the Phillies.
Wednesday.
Wednesday,
I just saw Taylor McGregor tweeted it as we started this. He is going to throw on Wednesday. So that's going to be against the Bravos, right?
Yep. And I already have it in the script, so we're in good shape. We knew it was going to happen. How about it, huh? Michael Soroka, he is going to make a rehab start on Wednesday with AAA Iowa. Maybe he's going to be the one that saves the Cubs.
He was on the field Saturday. I was down in the dugout waiting on Craig Counsell, collecting some audio. I was standing in the dugout. Soroka was doing a little live BP. It didn't really go great.
I mean, with those type of things, you're just looking to see if he can get up there, get it on up there without any pain.
If he's back, he's throwing because they're letting guys rest, or he's like throwing in garbage time. He is not a guy you want throwing in a game of consequence right now.
All right. Well, we got Ryan Brazier, who didn't look good in his AAA start.
You're blowing me off there, Crawly. You're blowing me off.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what Soroka's going to do, if they would use him as a 1-inning guy, if they would use him to eat certain innings.
That's fine. That's what I just said.
Right. I'm just saying, like, do you trust him more than Ben Brown?
Nothing. Oh God. Yeah. You trust Ben Brown. I mean, I'm telling you, he didn't. I mean, I don't know who it was. I don't know who it was hitting against him. They were cranking on him in the live BP.
Well, they were cranking on Brian Brazier in AAA as well. He gave up 1 run on 2 hits, a home run. And then Dustin, I don't know if you heard this one. Miguel Amaya had a setback.
I have not. Because the catchers have been playing so well, you almost forget about the guy, right?
Well, he had to slow down activity after Labor Day. And so with lingering issues in the ankle, again, you're running out of time to get these guys ready and healthy.
I don't think we see him again.
Might not. And that's a shame.
Yeah. All right, Crawly, you did a great job. You got a bunch of great stuff on your social media with the Hall of Famers over at Wrigley Field. Not only the Hall of Famers, the Cub Hall of Famers, their traveling parties. Give us a little firsthand account.
Yeah, it was really weird. This is the first time since the Cubs have rebooted. It started in 2021 with Pat Hughes and Jose Cardinal, and Buck O'Neill was the first one when they rebooted all this stuff. And when you kind of take a look at this, this is really kind of, this was inside. If you walk into the main administrative building, they had this amazing picture of Ryan Sandberg tipping his cap, which was really awesome. They had the blue jacket out there next to the trophy later on, but I just love that. Dustin, the one thing I was disappointed from, there's a couple things. Number one, the memorabilia. There wasn't a lot of memorabilia from Sosa and Derek Lee in the past. They had it in that Motorola Razor room now. They had a couple pieces, but before, like, they would have like a whole retrospective of each player going in there, and I didn't see that this time.
Was there also something this weekend going on, like an anniversary of Harry Carey? I saw some guys.
Well, they had a Harry Carey giveaway shirt, and
so it was a giveaway shirt. Okay,
right. It made no sense that they would do it this weekend, though.
That's why I was confused. I'm like, wait a minute, right. I thought it was not that. Obviously Harry Carey, a huge part of the Cubs and Wrigley Field, but I was like, isn't this like the weekend for Sosa? And I was confused.
But they did have his didn't look award. So different things that they ended up having, but it wasn't great. If you're a season ticket holder and you were lucky you got a chance to meet him, there's Mr. 609, Sammy Sosa, and myself. And there's the Mr. Tall Derek Lee. Really cool to see that. And then before the game on Saturday, you could take a look. This is the Cubs Hall of Fame. These were where the plaques were going to go. Now, on Sunday, that's where all the people were kind of coming around. That's when it really got exciting. Dustin, this is myself. And I don't know if anyone listens to the Spanish broadcast. I speak Spanish. And so sometimes I'll kind of put it on there by hitting the SAP button. But if you don't know Miguel, he's been on the podcast. Elio is a great guy as well. Miguel's been on the podcast numerous times. Great guys. Good to see them out there. One of my favorites in the Cubs Hall of Famer, Sean Dunston. I love Sean, and he's such a great guy. So great to talk to. I'm hoping to have him on this off season. the Hawk, Andre Dawson's been on the podcast before. Great seeing him in that blue. I thought he would have hit better than Carlos Santana or Justin Tucker, if we're going to be honest.
Amen to that.
A lot of 2008 guys came in. Reed Johnson was there, but how's this? Giovanni Soto, 2008 Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, he told a story. He told a story about smacking a closer, waking him up.
Wasn't it Zambrano? They smacked Zambrano.
Oh, Zambrano. Yeah, it wasn't close. Zambrano. That's who it was. Yeah, a good story.
How about Ted Lilly, our favorite, Ted Lilly? But Dustin, I do have to fanboy a little bit. There was one photograph that made me get such an adrenaline rush. Kosuke Fukudome.
Huh. Wow.
Fukudome in town. I was the only one to get the picture. So Kerry Wood came out and everybody kind of like darted towards Kerry Wood. And I just kind of looked. Oh, I've met Kerry a bajillion times. Not to say I don't love Kerry Wood, but I look over my shoulder and I see just this quiet, unassuming man walking by. I'm like, could that be? It might be. It is Fukudome. And so he was like trying to make a beeline in. I'm like, Kosuke, can I get a quick picture? Boom, snap the selfie.
Nice.
I was so excited. I never thought I would see him in Chicago again.
Well done.
So that was an awesome moment. So I then go to sit in the seats and wait for the ceremony to begin. And as I'm sitting there, who do I see out of the corner of my eye kind of walking past me? Jim Riggleman. So I say, Riggs, what are you doing, buddy? And we start talking. He's like, Crawly, you mind if I sit down? I said, no. We probably talked for a half an hour before the ceremony. Cool. And we were talking about all things 1998. I gave him my email, so I'm hoping he'll respond because I'd love to have him on. The stories he had about Kerry Wood's 20 strikeout game and the Sosa McGuire chase, just all the behind the scenes stuff. You know what I mean? It was
good dude. Yeah, good dude.
Just such a good dude, such a good baseball man. And then of course they had the amazing ceremony. But to me, like I said, without Sandberg there, I was struggling with it. They made no mention of it, and I can understand why. It's Sammy's day and Derek Lee's day, you know. But when I look at signed by all the guys, the last autograph I ever got signed by Sandberg was a picture similar to this. So it was hard to not see them there. Very glad to see Lee Smith there and Billy looking good and stuff. But like I said, it's a missing hole in our heart. And Sean Dunston mentioned to me that he's like, Crawly, I'm excited about this, but I miss Rhino. And that, you know, he almost had tears in his eyes.
I bet.
You know, very cool to see Sosa and Lee throw out that first pitch and, you know, everybody watching, and they had a lot of fun. And so this is the Sosa plaque right here. If you go to the Cubs Hall of Fame, this is Derek Lee's plaque right here. Well, maybe they're both Sosa, and my eyes are going bad, but they are all in the downstairs Hall of Fame wall. There's Derek Lee in the bottom left and Sammy Sosa in the upper right. And so great that those guys were added. But Dustin, that was not the only thing that happened. We also had the return of Ronnie Woo. We played the video last week. And, I also have video of this. This was the Hall of Famers walking into the ceremony. This was really cool as well. As I kind of will walk you. There we go, Kerry. Sut.
How we doing?
Lee Smith looking fine as always.
What's up, baby?
How's it going, Hawk?
Thank you for earlier. Thank you.
Go get him, Hawk. Looks like you could still hit today. Sweet swinging.
What's up?
Sweet swinging.
Good. Put this guy.
How much fun was that to see those guys walking by, Dustin? Like I said, I was so excited.
Yeah, very cool. Listen, it's about as good as it gets right there. That is Cubs royalty, Crawly. Cubs royalty.
And as I mentioned before, we had Ronnie Woo on the last show, and he's been dealing with lung issues, and he needs oxygen. And more than anything, he wanted to go to a Cubs game this season. He had not gone to a single Cubs game. He's on oxygen. And the great people at the Pearl in Evanston, they got a suite, and they got a party bus, and they brought Ronnie with the nurses, and he was able to go to a game at Wrigley Field. Here's Ronnie. And Dustin, let me put it this way. Janet, who is one of his closest, dearest friends, has done a great job of putting Cubs memorabilia all over their room. But you've been in those type of facilities before. They're not warm. You know what I mean? It's kind of just drab.
Right.
You know, to actually be out in the sun and outside and at Wrigley Field with everything going on, Ronnie was beaming from ear to ear. Here's some video of Ronnie coming down the sidewalk.
Let's go, Ronnie! Can I get a picture, Ronnie? Woo-woo! Get a picture.
You hear it right away. Ronnie, can I get a picture? Just
Oh, yeah.
how excited the fans were to see him again. And so it was really just a moment. And if you take a look here, you could just see the smile on his face. And here's me and Ronnie right outside the marquee. Just a beautiful moment. So when it comes to the Cubs Hall of Fame and woo, it was awesome. The results of the game, not so much. One other thing, and you know, I'll give Cubs marketing all the props in the world when they do things right. You know, like the Dansby Swanson headband or the Greg Maddux tarp slide bobblehead. Cheers, cheers, cheers on that. Dustin, I thought they did a poor job this weekend. Again, why they had a Harry Carey shirt, don't know. So in the past, on the day of the Hall of Fame ceremony, they would give out pins, 2 pins of one of each player that were always awesome. And everybody was so excited to get the pins. No pins this year. No pins. The other thing is that the beer bats, you know, the beer bats?
Yep.
In the past, they would have an emblem of the weekend on it. There was nothing at all weekend to signify that this game was any different than any other games. And I thought that was a missed opportunity by the Cubs. And I hope that they learn from it and that next year, you know, they bring the pins back, they bring the beer bats back, they make it a little bit more special. Like the Friday game was supposed to be, to me, about Sammy Sosa. The Saturday game was supposed to be about Derek Lee. The Sunday game, okay, they're both getting into the Hall of Fame. It just really wasn't like that. Like Friday and Saturday were just like ordinary games where the guys just kind of like waved. Nothing
They
big.
just stood up in a suite and kind of waved. They didn't do the
Right.
stretch. I was surprised they didn't do the stretch
Didn't do a
either
first
day.
pitch.
Right.
None of it. I just thought it could have been way more. And hey, if anyone wants to ask me my thoughts at 1060 West Addison, you know how to reach hold of me. But it wasn't. I didn't think it was. I thought it could have been better, in my opinion.
This is the Fly the W podcast. We are part of the Blue Wire Network, and it's episode 51 of season number 4. The Cubs lose the game, the series, and Daniel Palencia against the Nationals. 5-star review, we'll take it, but we need you to download, we need to listen, we need to subscribe. You can also watch us, that's right, on the Crawly's Clubhouse YouTube page. All right, Braves Cubs again, this time down in Atlanta. These two teams were just at Wrigley Field not that long ago.
Yeah, they know each other well, right? The Cubs haven't seen the Braves all season, but took 2 or 3 of them from Wrigley last week. And now they head to Atlanta where they're going to do it again. And Dustin, if you remember the series last week, it was very similar to the series that we just had with the Nationals, right? Where the Cubs offense, that was one of the biggest comebacks of the year, where they were down real big and Colin Ray struggled and Aaron Savali came to save the day. And needless to say, it was just a great comeback in that first game. Second game was Shota Imanaga versus Joey Wentz, and Shota did a good job. You know, he did okay. It wasn't his best game, but that was the last time we saw Kyle Tucker, that last Tuesday when he hit that home run, that 3-run home run, the Apo Taco, and then he got pulled from that game. And then on the next game, game 3 on Wednesday, Cade Horton versus Josh Elders. Once again, Cade Horton was phenomenal. 5 innings, no hit, and then the offense did jack squat. And so the Cubs took that series, but you just saw the offense slowly start to tank. Yep. Now, since facing the Cubs, the Braves lost 2 of 3 to the Mariners, and both of them were blowout losses. Chris Sale dominated the Mariners in game 1. He gave up 1 run in 6 2/3 inning, and the Braves scored 3 in the 8th to win the game 4-1. Game 2 was tied 2-2 in the 7th when the Mariners scored 8 unanswered run between the 7th and 9th innings to win that one 10-2. And then in game 3, Joey Wentz gave up 8 runs in 2 1/3, and Cal Raleigh hit home run number 53 as the Mariners pounded the Braves 18-2. The Braves are 64-79, 4th in the NL East. They are 3-7 in their last 10. They are 34-35 at home and 40-57 against teams with a winning record. Dustin, I know it doesn't seem like it, but the Cubs do qualify as one of those teams with a winning record.
Tail of the tape.
Remember, this is the last 3 weeks we're looking at, not the season in aggregate, except for defensive run save. Last 3 weeks, batting average, the advantage goes to Braves. They are 15th in baseball with a 245 batting average. The Cubs are 27th with a 231 batting average, so third from the bottom. Slug, the Cubs actually have the upper hand on this one. They're slugging 405, 17th in baseball, while the Braves are slugging 398. That's 21st. Runners in scoring position, the Braves are 13th in baseball at 276. The Cubs are 17th and 257. So 2 out of the 3 categories you got to give to the Braves when it comes to offense. Now, pitching, Cubs get this edge on this one. Starting pitching ERA, 3.99. That's 9th in all of baseball, while the Braves are 5.33, 24th in baseball. Relievers, the Cubs are 13th at 129 whip, while the Braves are 27th, 165 whip. So that's 2 for the Cubs compared to the Braves. But get a load of this. The Cubs DRS, defensive run saves. Now, this is over the season. 76th run save, which is second in all of baseball, while the Braves are third at 54. So we're going to have 2 really good defensive teams that we're going to see.
Well, nice pitching matchup tonight. Got to get this one. Shota Imanaga. I don't know why they delayed who was going to throw, why that was a question mark. But Shota's taking the ball tonight. Bryce Elder going for the Bravos.
6:15 Central Time for all these starts. Shota Imanaga is 9-6 with a 3.15 ERA and 21 games started with 97 strikeouts in 123 innings pitched. On August 21st against the Brewers, he gave up 2 runs on 3 hits in 7 innings pitched. On August 28th against the Giants, he gave up 3 runs on 5 hits in 7 innings. In his last start against the Braves, he gave up 3 runs on 5 hits in 6 innings. Shota's given up 4 home runs in his last 2 starts. I know that's the knock on him. Ozzie Albies and Eli White homered for the Braves in Wrigley last week. Shota is 1-0 in 2 career starts with a 2.45 ERA against the Braves. Albies 4 for 6 with the home run against Shota. And Matt Olson 3 for 5 with a triple.
And how's this Bryce Elder guy?
He is 6-9 with a 5.54 ERA and 24 starts with 105 strikeouts in 131 2/3 innings. He's been pitching well lately, but every now and then he gets roughed up. Like when he has a bad one, it's a stinker. But on August 24th against the Mets, he gave up 2 runs in 6 innings. On August 29th, he gave up only 1 run in 7th inning against the Phillies. And in his last start on Wednesday against the Cubs, he pitched 7 shutout innings. So this guy's on a little bit of a heater. He's 1-1 with a 6 ERA in his career against the Cubs. But as a team, the Cubs are slashing 167, 216, 271 against Elder. Ian Happ is 1 for 9. Dansby Swanson is 1 for 7. And Nico Horner is 0 for 7 against Elder, who features a sinker, slider, 4-seamer, and changeup. It looks good on paper, Dustin, but this is not an easy matchup in any way, shape, or form for the Cubs.
No, it doesn't sound like it. Cade Horton going in game number 2 against Spencer Strider. And as you mentioned, these are all 6:15 starts.
Yep, Cade Horton 9-4 with a 2.78 ERA in 20 games. 19 of those starts with 87 strikeouts and 103 2/3 inning. Horton has been ripping it up in the second half. Rookie of the year talk. On August 23rd against the Angels, he pitched 6 shutout innings with 7 Ks. On August 29th, Cade gave up 2 runs in 5 innings of work at Coors Field. And against the Rockies and last Wednesday against Atlanta, he pitched 5 no-hit innings and struck out 6. I was there. He was phenomenal. That was the first time Cade ever faced the Braves in his young career. So far, nobody has any hits against him on their side.
I like that. And tell us about Spencer Strider.
Strider is 5-12 with a 4.97 ERA and 19 starts with 106 strikeouts and 101 1/3 innings pitched. Big strikeout guy. On August 18th against the White Sox, who have had one of the hottest offenses in baseball in the second half, he gave up 7 runs in 3 innings pitched. Bounced back against the Marlins on 8/25. He gave up 1 run in 7 innings. And against the Cubs last Monday, he gave up 3 runs in 5 innings of work. That was the first time Strider had faced the Cubs in his career, but the Cubs haven't had much success against Strider. Ian Happ is 2 for 3 with a home run, but Kyle Tucker's 1 for 6, and Michael Busch is 0 for 5 against him. Strider alternates between his 4-seamer and slider. with an occasional curve or changeup.
All right, as we mentioned earlier, Jamison Tyone back on Wednesday, game number 3, and we're going to see Chris Sale, 6:15 again.
Yeah, Jamison Tyone, 9-6 with a 4.15 ERA and 19 starts with 81 strikeouts and 106 in the third innings pitch. J-Mo is coming off his second IL stunt this season. On July 4th, he went on the IL with a groin strain. He came back, and then on August 28th, he went on the IL with a left groin strain. And so he's only had 2 starts in the second half. On August 19th, he gave up 1 run in 6 innings against the Brewers. And on August 24th, he gave up 1 run in 5 innings against the Angels, but didn't come out for the 6th because of that groin tightness. He is 1-1 lifetime against the Braves with a 2.86 ERA and 4 starts. 2 of the Braves starters hit Tyone well, and 2 of them do not. Ronald Acuna and Ozzie Albies are not. Ronald Acuna is 1 for 9 against Tyone. Ozzie Albies 2 for 9. But Matt Olson is 4 for 18 with 2 home runs against him, and Marcell Ozuna is 6 for 17.
All right, how about Chris Sale? How's he been?
Oh boy, I wish we could miss him again. Chris Sale, they missed him last time because he had just come back. He is 5-4 with a 2.38 ERA and 17 starts with 132 strikeouts, Dustin, in only 102 innings pitched. I mean, that's unbelievable. He was having a great season, but on June 21st, he went on the 60-day IL with a fractured rib cage. He was activated on August 30th and gave up 1 run in 6 innings against the Phillies. In his last start against the Mariners, he gave up 1 run in 6 2/3 innings of work. Sale is 3-1 lifetime against the Cubs, Dustin, with a .93 ERA in 6 games. 4 of those starts. Last year against the Cubs, he pitched 7 scoreless innings, gave up 2 hits, no walks, and struck out 9. The only Cubs with hits against Sale are the old guys. Carlos Santana's 14 for 47 with 2 home runs against Sale, but that was a long time ago. Justin Tucker, 3 for 6 with a double and a home run a long time ago. Kyle Tucker is 0 for 9 against Sale, who throws mainly a slider and a 4-seamer, but Dustin, a lefty like Sale against this Cubs lineup right now, I don't even know. I mean, I honestly just pack up the bus and just give him the win.
Well, it's only Monday, so we got a couple days to worry about that one. All right, who's hot? Who's not for the Cubs? Somebody's hot after that weekend.
Well, not too many.
Somebody
Dustin,
make the list, I guess.
Well, PCA was doing pretty good, but other than that, Nico Horner's 7 for his last 20 with 2 doubles, a home run, and 2 RBIs. He's slashing 350, 409, 600. Reese McGuire and PCA both in small sample sizes. But other than that, after Nico Horner with his 350 average, the next highest guy is Ian Happ with 250. The Cubs, once again, have Seiya Suzuki, Matt Shaw, Dansby Swanson, all in the hundreds. Michael Busch is 0 for his last 12, and he's leading off tonight. So,
we're getting close to the prediction. I'm not feeling great about making this prediction. Ozzie Albies, he's one of the hot players for the Bravos.
Of course, and he's always hot against the Cubs. It doesn't even matter if he's on the cold list or the hot list. Ozzie Albies is always hot against the Cubs, but he is 8 for his last 20 with a triple, 2 home runs, 3 RBIs, slashing 400, 400, 800. Nacho Alvarez had a great series against the Cubs. He's hot. He's 5 for his last 13 with 2 doubles, slashing 385, 429, 967. And Jurickson Profar, 4 for his last 12 with a home run, an RBI, slashing 333, 333, 750. But on the not list, Drake Baldwin, their catcher, is hitting 2 for his last 16. How about Ronald Acuna, just like Busch, 0 for his last 12? And when you talk about Michael Harris, he's 0 for his last 18, Dustin. So they got a couple cold guys too.
Let's hope that keeps going. All right, let's get into it, Crawly. Prediction time.
I have the Cubs winning 1 of 3. I have them winning the Cade Horton versus Spencer Strider game.
Wow. I got to tell you, when you've got Shota and Cade Horton going, you should take 2 of the 3. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna cross my fingers that PCA is on the way back, and hopefully can get the offense going. I'm gonna say 2 or 3 begrudgingly, but you're probably if you're investing, go with Crawly's 1 out of 3. All right, Crawly, that's a wrap for this one. Don't forget to listen, download, review, subscribe to us, the Fly the W podcast. You got a question, you got answers from us. Crawly's Clubhouse, gmail.com. And you can watch us by subscribing to Crawly's Clubhouse on that YouTube channel. Crawly, have a great week. Enjoy the games. Get a little rest. Sound a little wriggled out.
It happens, but it's worth it at the end. Thanks for everybody that was watching. Cubs. We got Cubs 2025, who has said Palencia's out for the year. No chance he comes back. Good old Katrina is on here. She's always someone that's fun to listen to. She was impressed with my Riggleman picture. And Andy Wells, when talking about the series, said it was a dud. So thank you guys all for watching, listening, texting, everything else. It's been an absolute blast. Look, I know it's dark now, and I know my predictions are gloomy. I'm just trying to tell you how I see it. That's all I've ever done. But I still will be watching all these games, even when everyone else is watching the Bears. I'll be watching the Cubs, and hopefully both teams win, and we can celebrate on Thursday. Go Cubs!
It's all over.